Have you ever told your child, calm down? Or perhaps, stop crying, there's nothing to be upset about? Most parents have. We say these exact words in moments of sheer exhaustion, with the best intentions, hoping to bring peace to a chaotic situation. But what if I told you that these simple, common phrases can actually make a child's emotional meltdown significantly worse? According to modern neuroscience, they may even teach children to distrust their own internal feelings. Today, we're exploring what happens inside a child's brain during emotional overwhelm. When we tell an upset child to calm down, we expect a logical, cooperative response. But here's what most parents don't realize. Those two small words can trigger an immediate defensive reaction. Instead of soothing the child, it acts as an emotional barrier, amplifying their distress. Scientists have discovered that suppressing emotions at a young age doesn't make them go away. It merely forces them underground, only to resurface later as more intense tantrums or anxiety. Welcome to ParentLab, where parenting meets science. Every week, we break down the latest research on child development, psychology, and neuroscience, so you can make better parenting decisions with confidence. Today, we are unpacking the hidden mechanics of emotional outbursts. Stay until the end, because I'll share a simple 3-step method that can instantly reduce tantrums and strengthen your relationship with your child. Let's begin. To understand why this happens, let's look at an everyday scenario. Imagine you are 3 years old. You wanted the blue cup for your juice, but your parent, busy and distracted, hands you the red cup instead. Suddenly, your entire world feels like it's ending. You throw yourself to the floor, screaming, tears streaming down your face. To an adult, this reaction is completely absurd. It's just a plastic cup, right? Why the massive overreaction? From an adult perspective, this behavior is highly irrational. We view the world through a lens of logic, efficiency, and scale. A cup is just a vessel for liquid. But to a toddler, this isn't about the cup at all. It's about autonomy, predictability, and a sudden, overwhelming wave of disappointment. When we look down at a screaming child and sigh in frustration, we are evaluating their emotional reality using an adult brain that has decades of experience. Inside a young child's brain, a completely different biological event is taking place. The emotional center of the brain, the amygdala, is highly active and firing rapidly. It perceives the minor disappointment of the red cup as a genuine high-stakes threat. The amygdala doesn't distinguish between a lost toy and a dangerous predator. It simply sounds the alarm, flooding the child's system with intense, raw emotion that they cannot yet process. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain responsible for logic, self-control, decision-making, and emotional regulation, is still highly unfinished. In fact, neuroscientists estimate that the prefrontal cortex continues developing well into a person's mid-20s. At age 3, this logical control center is barely online. Expecting a toddler to use logic during a tantrum is like expecting them to solve a complex calculus equation while riding a unicycle. This is why saying calm down is so ineffective. It is physically and neurologically impossible for them to comply in that moment. It's like asking someone to swim across a deep, turbulent river before they've ever taken a single swimming lesson. They don't have the tools, the muscle memory, or the brain pathways to execute your command. They are drowning in a biological storm, and they need a lifeguard, not a critic. When children repeatedly hear phrases like, "Stop crying," "You're fine," or "Don't be upset," they receive a powerful hidden message. The message is, your feelings are wrong. Your emotions are inconvenient to the adults around you. What you are experiencing right now is not valid. Over time, this constant feedback teaches children to suppress their feelings. leading to deep-seated emotional confusion and a lack of self-trust. Psychologists call this phenomenon emotional invalidation. Even when parents have the absolute best intentions, simply wanting their child to feel better quickly, invalidation unintentionally increases emotional distress. The surprising part is that when we tell someone their feelings aren't real, their brain actually fights harder to prove that they are. The emotional volume gets turned up, leading to longer, more explosive meltdowns. Think about your own adult life for a moment. When you are highly stressed, angry, or upset about something at work or in your relationship, what helps you more? Someone looking at you coldly and saying, "Calm down, it's not a big deal," or someone looking at you with empathy and saying, "Wow, that sounds incredibly difficult. I understand why you're upset." Most adults infinitely prefer the second response. Children are no different from adults in this regard. In fact, because their brains are so much more vulnerable, they need that validation even more. Research consistently shows that feeling understood and heard is the precise mechanism that helps the nervous system settle down. Before children can begin to regulate their emotions, they first must feel emotionally safe. Safety is the prerequisite for calm. Let's look closer at the underlying biology. When a child experiences an intense emotion, the amygdala sends an immediate alarm signal throughout the entire body. This triggers the sympathetic nervous system, initiating a classic fight or flight response. The body behaves as if it is under physical attack, preparing for immediate survival. In this hyper-aroused state, the logical thinking brain is completely bypassed. During this physical stress response, the child's heart rate spikes rapidly. Stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline flood their bloodstream. Their muscles tense, and their breathing becomes shallow. They are physically incapable of sitting quietly or listening to a rational lecture about their behavior. Their body is screaming for release, which is why tantrums often involve screaming, kicking, or throwing objects. To use a simple analogy, the emotional brain is driving the car at high speed, while the thinking brain has been forced into the back seat, completely unable to reach the steering wheel. This explains why trying to reason with a screaming toddler never works. Their brain simply isn't ready or capable of processing logic in that state. The connection to the prefrontal cortex has been temporarily severed by the emotional storm. This leads us to the golden rule of modern child psychology. Connection must always come before correction. Let me say that again, because it changes everything. Connection comes before correction. You cannot teach a child a lesson, correct their behavior, or explain why they can't have the red cup until their nervous system has returned to a state of safety and calm. So what should parents do instead of saying calm down? The scientific answer lies in a simple 3-step approach called emotion coaching. Step 1 is to name the emotion. When your child is screaming, look at them and label what they are feeling. Say, "I can see you're really frustrated right now," or "You seem very disappointed." This simple act helps build their emotional vocabulary, transforming a scary, nameless feeling into something recognizable.